Hello and welcome to Start the Beat with Sykes. My name is Sykes and this is my podcast. Before we get started, I just wanted to take a quick moment to thank everyone who checked out the last episode. If you're one of those people, I hope you enjoyed the conversation and thanks so much for coming back. But for those of you out there who are new to the show, welcome. Feel free to make yourselves at home. And as always, there's beer and soda in the fridge. Cheers, my friend. We have no beer or soda, but fuck it. It's cool. It's a Tuesday afternoon, like 1:30, you know. One may argue it's the best time for a beer, but it's chill.
I was about to say, I was like, I don't got no beer or soda.
You want a beer?
No, I'm good.
All right. I'll get some beers, man. I don't give a shit. I am sitting here today, for those of you that don't know my guest already, returning to the show, the one and only Reasun. Make some noise for the internet.
Thank you for the warm reception.
For those of you that do not know Reasun, you are a Pittsburgh-based MC, promoter, human being, good fucking dude.
Thank you.
That's the full bio.
Yeah, pretty much.
Did I miss anything?
In terms of things that I think that encompasses everything, you know. We're all multifaceted beings, but let's just leave it at that.
No doubt, no doubt. So you were on the show, man, 3 or 4 years ago at this point.
You looked it up and you said it was like July 2016. So
okay,
or some, if I'm getting the
month
right.
I can't remember. Yeah,
but 4 years ago then.
Wow. Yeah. So it's been quite a while, but I've seen you plenty of times since then.
Mm-hmm.
Each other in the wild. Well, maybe not so much since the start of 2020,
right,
for reasons that are horribly obvious, but prior to that. So let's start there. What the hell have you been doing with all of this downtime?
Oh, with the downtime? It's interesting. So, you know, I got laid off from a job that I hated. So that was kind of a blessing in disguise. And initially I was like, all right, I'm going to take this time to focus on music and be more, just make sure that I'm getting these projects out that it's taken me a while doing things, events and promotion, organization that I've been involved in that have taken me my focus away from releasing music. So whenever that happened and I was able to get unemployment and I was able to be okay, I started, I was going really hard and it was a good thing. I was going really hard online with promotion, and then I got blindsided by this health issue, which I don't really need to. I'm okay. Yeah, but I don't really. It's something I got to manage, but I'm all right. And that really knocked me down. So the past couple, maybe weeks or so, I've been trying to get back to where I was in terms of energy. And today I feel really good. So it's good that we're doing this on a good day. And
hell yeah, feeling good.
Yeah, so I've released some singles and I've been working on a mixtape. The original idea was so I had these songs and they weren't necessarily created at the same time and weren't really created with a project in mind. I might have performed them and I didn't get a chance to record them yet. So I had this idea to do, okay, how am I going to compile these? And I was going to do a mixtape, sort of 90s style, where a DJ hosts it and they make the mix. And I was going to do it with my homie, DJ Stealth from the Get Down Gang. He's having some technical difficulties. So anyway, it's going to be a mixtape. I'm going to figure it out. And then I'm going to get all this shit out that is music that I really want to release because I feel like it's still important, even if it might have been written, a year ago or a couple years ago. I want to make sure that I do it justice. And after that, it's going to be a solo album. And, on the mixtape, a couple will be beats that are original. A couple of them won't. The album will obviously be all original beats. So yeah, man. And then there's some collaborations in the work. And obviously COVID made that all really weird and everybody's lives are just like, it's just everybody's in a transitional period trying to adjust. So Yeah, that's where I'm at and trying to, staying motivated. And I'm glad I'm here because this is a good thing to, I put it out there and it's going to keep me. This is good motivation for me. So thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thanks.
You're very welcome, man. You're somebody that, is a peer and a friend and somebody that, I look up to in terms of just work ethic and like actually giving a shit about the culture. There's not many. We could use a lot more people like you, especially around here. The Pittsburgh hip hop scene, we don't got to get into it. It's like cool, but weird. It's cliquey. That's probably not even particularly a Pittsburgh thing. Yeah. I'd imagine that's just human nature. People are cliquey, weird. And, especially in the realm of hip hop, I find that it takes a lot to find somebody that's willing to put their ego to the side and, put time in for other people like you have.
Yeah.
But it can be kind of a sidestep, though, as you had already mentioned, where, you're putting your focus into doing all these other things. And the next thing you know, you're like, shit, I have songs from 2 or 3 years ago I still haven't recorded.
Yep.
But,
exactly.
For me, maybe you can relate with this. I think a big part of the reason why I got into doing music or this podcast or anything is to make those connections with other people, not to necessarily just put my shit out there. It's always been more about the community.
Yeah. I'll say I've always appreciated you for the same reason, because I think we're on the same wavelength in terms of that. And for me, music and community is very much intertwined because that's basically the first place that I found community. When I started going to the Shadow Lounge, when I fell in love, before that, falling in love with hip hop. And then a couple years later, going to the Shadow Lounge open mic and also this, this freestyle cipher. So I basically started performing and ciphering, freestyling. So it was always a communal, collaborative environment. So I really craved that. And it was something that I didn't really find anywhere else. Didn't necessarily have a real strong connection with my family and the type of shit that they're into, because they're super religious and I don't even talk to them anymore right now. We're on a break. We'll see what happens. But, yeah, so it's always been something that it was like the first place that I found community, first place that I found acceptance in hip hop, in that culture. So I think that's why I kept it going. So one of the things we're talking about, for people who don't know, I co-created this event with my friend. It's called Track Meet, and it was an open freestyle cipher. It is an open freestyle cipher. We used to do it every month. We've been on a break for about a year. This was before the pandemic. We were already on a break, and then I was planning some comeback things, and I was also, we were planning an event, and that kind of fell through. So that's a little bit up in the air right now, but that's it's an open collaborative thing, and I put like everything into that, and it was sort of a desperation. And towards the end, I realized that I needed to take more time for myself. And that was really the reason why I had to step away, because I was realizing this wasn't healthy for me. I was kind of running myself into the ground. So Track Meet is, it's gonna come back in some form, because I crave that, and it's something that I love, and I know other people love it. So we're going to find a way to make something happen. If it's not every month, it might be an event a couple times a year, or do, private ciphers that we'll broadcast. I don't know, but there's lots of opportunities. Yeah. So I wanted to give an explanation for those who aren't aware of Track Meet. We did some performances. We were able to open up for EPMD. So we organized this 4-person freestyle cipher, but it was structured, and we did it on the stage. So we also did that at the Three Rivers Arts Fest. It was really cool. We were building traction. And then, so that's another thing that we can do, is we can do performances, but also an open cipher event. Anybody can come, jump in the cipher, and it's a lot of fun. So yeah, people are wondering, it's not, I know that I might have, people who know me might have seen, I was going through a hard time, and they might have seen me. I might have said something like Track Meet is over. I don't even remember. Dumb shit I might have posted. I don't know, maybe all of us have made mistakes in terms of, being too emotional or being too open or just too brash about, because then you write something online and then people run with it, or maybe that's all they see. But yeah, just to clarify, track meet ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think that, it's understandable, why things aren't happening now. I think that's pretty much goes without saying. But, the amount of pressure that, a lot of artists put on themselves, especially when you're trying to do these things all the time. You're organizing events, you're trying to write music, you're trying to pay the bills, you're dealing with other shit that has nothing to do with any of this, but it all bleeds. And, a lot of us, we get into art. I find those of us that aren't ego driven, sometimes we wear our heart on our sleeves a little bit too much. And it's definitely pretty easy to, let the world see that, unfortunately.
And then you burn out. Out. So yeah, it's you got to be careful. And yeah, that's what happened to me. I burned out, and I'm coming back. It's funny because I keep on having I don't know if other people can relate in terms of struggle, but I'll start to find traction and momentum, and then something will knock me back. That's just been life. But, if you're really passionate about it, you really love it, and, you find a way to do it.
Yeah. I've said this a lot, so I apologize for anybody watching that's like, God damn it, Brian, stop talking about this shit. But I don't give a shit who you are, what kind of music you make, if I fuck with it, if I don't fuck with it. Anytime I see somebody just put out a project, it's like, all the respect in the world, because there's so much time and effort that goes into even getting one song recorded sometimes for some people.
Yeah.
Let alone a whole fucking album.
Right.
Even if it's just a mixtape, it's like, holy shit. Like, you must really give a fuck about what you're doing, because it's not easy to do this, especially for people that don't have home studios or like in-house producers or things like that. Like when you're trying to juggle all this other thing, and like, you're basically just asking the world to either not asking the world, but asking people to either pull favors or collaborate, or you're trying to scrap together money to record. Like, yeah, it's not fucking easy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not. And I'm one of those guys who I don't make my own beats. Like I said, I really was focusing on the live element for a long time, and then writing and freestyling and all that. So I never really got into making beats. I've messed around a little bit, and then I didn't invest in getting my own studio. So I did find a really good recording engineer. Shout out to Sonny Brasco. He's been recording me. So pretty much most of those recordings that I'm going to be releasing were with him, and he's pushed me. It was honestly because I started with performing and freestyling. When I got into the booth, I really had to, it's a completely different mentality. And it was a little weird to me at first, because I'm trying to create the same energy, but I'm used to building off the energy of others, whether it be in a cypher or it be from the crowd, the audience, and you just really have to create that yourself. So that was a transition for me. So some of the recordings would take a little longer, because I had to find my voice in the booth. I already had it. I knew who I was as a live MC, but then transition, I had to find it again. So it's been a long journey. This technically it won't be my first project. I did do a collab. It was a group I was a part of called Left Field, and we released a project a few years ago. But I feel like the stuff that I'm doing now, I've really found my voice now, and I think that'll be apparent when people hear it.
It's funny. I love when people say that they've found their voice, because I guarantee you I'll talk to you again in 4 years. You'll be like, man, I did that other project, but now I've really found my voice.
Oh yeah. And I guess that's how it should be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
As you're growing as a person, you're growing as an artist, and you should be most excited about the thing that you just did, probably, because regardless of, I think some artists or some people might have a certain connection to whatever they heard you do. So whether they think it's your best stuff or not, I think a lot of us as artists, our latest thing is usually the thing we're most excited about because it's the thing that we're most closely connected to where we're at right now.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's definitely true because who knows where I'll be in a couple of years.
I always feel so bad for these legacy artists that come through on these tours. You know, they've been a band or they've been solo, whatever it is, but you know, they've been making music for decades and all their biggest hits that people give a shit about were like in the 80s or 90s, but they've been making music nonstop, but still they're playing shows and touring. Nobody really gives a shit about the new stuff, but you know, they're probably super passionate about it because why else would they still be writing and recording music if they didn't give a shit about it? And like, it'd be awesome to be in a position to be like, yeah, you know, I could tour all over anytime I want and play to great crowds. But if I had to do it to people that didn't give a shit about anything that I had done over the past 2 decades, that might be a little like bittersweet.
Yeah. And if you have to play the same songs over and over, you don't get to express your new, whatever you just created that, you had to go to the old hits. And I guess there's a blessing and a curse to that because, I mean, if you have music that people really love like that, then yeah, you can, well, not now, but yeah, you can tour and you can make a lot of money up and just have consistency. And I think some artists maybe reconcile that because they realize that, okay, this is my livelihood, and they kind of accept it. And then you could tell that other artists might be sort of bitter about having to keep playing this stuff, but
yeah, I mean, there's some artists that you'll see that like won't play the old stuff at all.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always funny because that people want to hear it and they're very like, fuck you.
They'll keep shouting out, the name of the song that they want to hear, at the show or whatever. But I mean, that's cool because, people are already there. And then you're just like, all right, well, this is what we want to do. So this is what you're going to hear.
Yeah. It's funny, even on an independent level, I feel like there's still some sort of feeling of this that I've noticed in terms of just like, I find that when people first listen to you, first impressions last.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been making hip hop music under the name Sykes for over a decade. And I feel that there are a large group of people that saw me play 10 years ago, even 6, 7, whatever, like a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And that's who I am to them forever.
Right.
And that is like heartbreaking to me.
Yeah.
Because I'm a totally different performer. I'm a different songwriter. It's like to the point where like I've considered multiple times changing my goddamn name just to like remove all of that from it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not who I am.
And that's what a lot of artists do. I think that's a lot of times the name change is about that. Cause this is something else, don't expect what you expected before. You remember my Support Real Pizza song.
Oh yeah.
Probably. So that's the thing that certain people might have connected to, and not so much anymore. But I remember, a year or a couple years after that, people would always remember that. And they'd think that I was just gimmicky dude who just like wrote songs about food, and really that was just one song, and there was a guy who offered to do a video.
Yeah.
So we were like, okay, sweet, and we ran with it. And yeah, but I don't want to be pigeonholed as somebody who just writes songs about
that ain't fair.
Food and pizza.
De La Soul wrote songs about food. Give me a break.
Yeah, it's definitely been done. So there's it's a little bit. I know with you have Sykes, you have Sykes and the New Violence, you have your band, you have the metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a lot of different things, and sometimes it's hard to communicate to people, be like, okay, but yeah, this is this and it's something else and you should check it out, but don't expect what you saw 10 years ago. Yeah.
I even think there's like, to some degree, that there are some people that probably never even gave Greywalker a fair shake because they knew me at Sykes. Because, they saw me, I played with like one of their bands 10 years ago because I was playing with a lot of metal bands when I was starting out. And I was a lot goofier back then. I was a lot like be rolling around on stage and hit myself with the microphone and yelling. I was just like full of energy and just, it was very much like, look at me. I'm crazy.
You still do that to an extent. When I've seen you perform, that's one thing I've always liked about Sykes is you get into the performance aspect of it a lot, and you move around and you get people into it as opposed to just like standing there rapping and being like, you know what I mean? So anyway, but maybe back then it was even more. So I'm like,
maybe it's the same. When I look back on it, I mean, all I could really do is look back at some old photos. Like they'll pop up in my timeline every once in a while. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, looking like a maniac, but it's fun. I don't regret any of it, but it's definitely just not a representation of who I am. But people, you know, for better or worse, there's going to be some people that see me as that. Going to be, you know, some people that see you as the pizza dude, and there's going to be,
or the track meet guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whatever.
And there's going to be some people that, you know, think that fucking, you know, Hotel California is the only Eagles song, I guess.
Oh yeah. They got a lot though.
Yeah. It's, what are you going to do? I don't know. I think that it goes back to why we do this in the first place. And for me, it's always been about just keeping myself happy, giving myself something to do. And if I could connect with other people and give people, you know, help people have a good time, whether I'm putting a show together or I'm just playing for them for 20 minutes or I'm telling somebody about another artist that they should go check out, whatever I could do, just that's what it is for me. So people think that I'm still some goofy asshole rolling around writing silly songs, and so be it.
At least they remember you.
They're lost. Yeah, that's true.
You
too.
made some sort of impression, and I guess they had some sort of connection to it at the time, and that's just it's better than you being forgotten.
Yeah,
and then maybe you can, you know, you can win that person over with new stuff. You never know, but
yeah, it's hard. I always say that I'd rather somebody have a negative reaction to what I'm doing than no reaction at all. Like as long as I can elicit some sort of a response out of somebody, at least I know my work's good enough for that.
Yeah, the worst engagement either way.
Yeah, the worst is just like if you put your all into something and everybody that hears it's just like they couldn't be bothered. Like, God damn, it's that boring, really?
Mm-hmm. Makes you feel insignificant. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in general, though, it's easy to feel insignificant just using the internet and trying to use that to fucking promote and get our things out to the world because you know, it's big business. It's big tech. We're utilizing these free services, but it's not free.
Yeah.
And unless you're very hyper aware of all of that before you release a project or promote an event or something like that, it's really easy to be like, nobody cares about what I'm doing.
Yeah, the marketing aspect is really important, and it's something that I didn't really. It almost feels gross as an artist.
Yeah,
we approach it from we're like, okay, I'm an artist, and sometimes we feel weird about self promotion. I know I did. You know, we were talking about ego, so when you're promoting yourself, sometimes you feel like, oh, I'm being an egomaniac, or I'm just, you know, it just feels kind of weird depending on whether you're comfortable with that or not. But unless you have someone handling that, your promotion and your marketing, then what do you expect? You really can't realistically expect people to be able to find it, or you got to really think about that. And it was something, you know, I was more comfortable with promoting even left field because that wasn't just me, or I was more comfortable promoting track meet because that was something collaborative. So I guess at that point, you know, I had to get over myself and realize, and that was the point before I kind of got knocked back a few months ago. I was really just dedicating myself to, I was like, okay, I need to market myself. I need to promote myself and not be, the energy that I'm putting out is not like, you got to really be excited about your own stuff, and you really you gotta sell. You got to be a salesman. And if you're doing it sort of lackadaisically, or you're doing it, I don't know, there's different ways that people can market themselves. Sometimes I feel like the younger generation of people who really grew up with the internet and they always had it, then maybe they've always been online, so it's not as weird to them to promote themselves.
That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
It comes from us being in a time when, like, I remember when it was annoying to post too much on the internet.
Right.
But now you have, fucking Jenny that you follow on Instagram's promoting her lunch every day harder than you're promoting your albums.
Right.
Right. Like everybody is marketing, even if they have nothing to market.
Right.
So you got to keep up with that. But I still have that mindset of remembering when like I would see somebody post, 2 times a day and be like, what the fuck is wrong with them? And now it's like, if you're not posting 2 times a day, people are like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah. I mean, you have to.
It's flipped. Yeah.
You really got to do it. And it was something I realized whenever the pandemic started, I was like, the first thing that I did is I was just reaching out to friends and I was just making sure everybody was okay. So, the music thing wasn't the initial thing that I was concerned about. But once I realized that, the people I was close to or I felt close to were all right and I felt connected, I was like, wow, everybody's online extra now because this is the only way we can connect. We can't hang out. So then I was like, all right, this is the perfect time to start going extra hard. So that was sort of towards the beginning. And yeah, these are tools that everybody is using. So there's some oversaturation, but you really have to, if you want people to hear it, you got to take that part seriously. You can't just expect people to, I guess you and I, we and I think we are, but we also gotta make sure that we're, if we want people to hear our stuff, then we're not operating with an old mentality. We gotta make sure that we're adjusting to this, and just get over and just be like, hey, why should I feel bad about posting? This is something that I'm passionate about. And, I think it's easier to sell something that you really feel. It's not like you're selling some product that for some company and you don't really care. This is something that you really are invested in. And if you really are about it, then it's just, you forget about people who might scoff at you or might feel a certain type of way or might, you're just like, you know what, this is my shit and I'm going to do this shamelessly and I'm going to promote. And it was working. You know what I mean? That energy was really working and it was different than the way that I would promote online in terms of my music in the past. It was more before I was more, I don't want to say timid, but just there's like a self-deprecating thing that we do sometimes. And I think a degree of that can be okay if there's humor in it, but sometimes we self-deprecate and then we kind of shoot ourselves in the foot in terms of not really putting 100% because it's like a safety blanket. Like, yeah, or a security blanket. Yeah. So yeah, you got to go all in. Pretty much. It's
Interesting thinking about and analyzing the way people digest music now. Like, I can't believe there are songs that are blowing up off of TikTok. Like, I can believe it. I totally get it. But as an artist, you really have to think about, what does that mean? What does that mean for the way people are consuming music, new music? They're hearing 15 seconds of something that is catchy. And all of a sudden, that's their new favorite song.
Attention spans get shorter and shorter.
And it's like, okay, so why the fuck am I working on these bars anymore if this is what it's going to be?
Yeah.
But then there's the flip side of things where it's like, I don't write music for the youth. You don't. We're a little bit more old school. We like bars. We like verses. We write music for an older demographic that isn't on TikTok. One may argue a majority of our demographic isn't on social media at all. So how the fuck do we use social media to promote to people when the people that are going to probably fuck with our stuff the most are the same people that don't fuck with social media because they know that it's bullshit?
Yeah.
How do we get through to them? I don't know. I've been trying to figure it out for a while. I can't fucking do it, but I'm chipping away at it every day. And I think there is still something to learn from the TikTok culture. Hooks have always been incredibly important, but just like, it doesn't even have to be the hook. It's like every single part of your song needs to be catchy nowadays. There shouldn't be more than a 5 or 10 second gap without something in your track that isn't a fucking earworm. Think about it in that mentality. Cause I don't give a shit if somebody puts my song on TikTok or not, but I think that it's, hard to argue the fact that every single part of your song should be a hook in one way or another. You know, whether you have like a real catchy cadence in your verse, or like you're doing some funny rhythm pattern, or you just have, you know, a chorus that's great, or there's a fun little sample that just keeps going, that gets stuck in your head, you know?
In general, I feel like, except for the hardcore hip hop heads and maybe other artists, that most people are going to get pulled in by the beat and by the flow. And then that is something that I have started to think about more as well. You know, writing hooks, and because sometimes as lyricists, we put all the focus on the verses and making sure that the writing is as good as it can be. And that's very important. But we also have to remember that it's music. So, you know, thinking about the hook and the flow, that's something that's universal, that regardless, you know, you can get people into your music that might not necessarily be a hip hop, hardcore hip hop fan, but they hear that. And then you're not, you know, as long as you're not, I'm okay with that as long as you're not, you know, I don't really like copying styles or following trends, or so I feel like as long as you're doing it and it's staying authentic to who you are, and you could maybe even, you know, you might use a beat that's more of a, and I've done, you know, I'll take beats that, you know, a producer will send me a beat and I don't have, I might not have a lot. So I'm just like, okay, I'm going to use this. You know, if someone gave me a free beat, and it might kind of throw me off and I might not feel it right away, but I'm going to, you know, I wrote the song called 3-Ring Circus, which was, it was a beat that really threw me off. Initially, I wasn't sure what to do with it, but then I thought of a concept for it, and, you know, I had like a catchy hook for it, and it was something that people were really into, but it was way different than anything I had ever done. So it's something, yeah, that's a mentality that I've been getting into more. I definitely, especially, you know, ciphering. I remember my mentor, EOS, she's always giving me advice and perspective. And at one point she said to me, you write your verses like you write your hooks, or you write your hooks like they're a verse. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and you don't think, and I had never even thought about like, okay, what's different about a hook than how you write a verse? It's way different. And, you know, sometimes you might write it in a similar way where it's the same amount of syllables depending on the hook, but a lot of times it might just be a couple words that you repeat, and you're listening to the beat and you're trying to just think of something, you know, it's simple. You got to think of something simpler. And
it's such a pet peeve of mine whenever a hip hop dude, basically like the hook is just another short verse. I'm just like, damn it.
Yeah.
Like, you're not like,
you need a break.
Yeah, that's
another thing too.
Like with songwriting, you know, I'm always writing songs now from the sense of like, I need to be able to perform this. You know, I'm not much of a backtrack guy. I like to spit live.
Right.
Believe it or not. No. And I want to be able to do this shit, and I want it to sound good. So I feel like if you can't, you know, if you have to track all these crazy overdubs and all these layers and punch in and punch out, and you're not giving yourself time to breathe, it's going to suck live. You're going to look like a fool, and you're not giving the audience time to actually understand what the fuck this song is.
Yeah. And it's like, not everybody, MF Doom, you know, there's some like examples of artists who kind of just don't write hooks. J-Zone, MF Doom, but that's a very special, and they found a very special market, and we can't necessarily expect to be able to follow in that lane.
Well, you know, I'll tell you this, like, I like MF Doom a lot. I don't know if I would ever go see MF Doom play, other than to just
you don't even know if it's going to be him.
Yeah. Other than to just be like, oh, I'm maybe in the same room with MF Doom. You know what I mean? I'd be more interested in like a production seminar and how he makes beats and chops samples and things like that. That's the stuff that I've always found really fascinating, is like more of like his production and mentality side. But I feel like as a whole, I've always considered MF Doom wallpaper hip hop. Like, it's just kind of on, it's in the background. You could be cool, and it's like, there's nothing too abrasive or super dynamic that throws off the mood of the room. It's very consistent, and it's good to just like chill to. Or if you're like drawing or painting or doing, you know, it's like that good vibe, you know, it's like, it's like the lo-fi chill beats to study to before that was a thing, you know. For me, that would have been MF Doom.
Yeah. And then you tune in and he's saying some like, he's, you don't necessarily have to follow a whole MF Doom verse. You just tune in for a second and he flips something like some phrase or some common saying. And, he has little humorous bars in there. So yeah, it's kind of something you don't have to necessarily. Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun. Yeah. I feel like I like one artist that I feel did such a really impressive job in like reining in their chaos over the course of their careers been A$AP Rock. Like, he started out, and I love the early stuff. I love Labor Days. That album fucked me up. It made me realize that like hip hop could be so much more than what I thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then he kind of went off the rails for a little bit. Bazooka Tooth's a fun album, but it is like kind of hard to listen to. Just 'cause it's so scattered. But now, the past two that he's put out, The Impossible Kid is insane.
Mm-hmm.
That album from front to back, as far as I'm concerned, is like a goddamn masterpiece that has all of the crazy technicalities of like his real wild off the charts fucking flow. But then these hooks that are just so sticky and simple, and all the beats are really cool and they go in different places, but it's not like, it doesn't feel experimental or weird. It's all just like him.
It's more easily digestible. I feel like A$AP Rock went to maybe after Labor Days, he went to a part where he was just writing over people's heads and just didn't really care whether people got it. It was real, super, super abstract, and different than someone like a Ghostface, because Ghostface is so flashy, and even though his lyrics might be abstract at times and might be hard to figure out because of his style and because of his attitude, it's A$AP Rock doesn't have that. A$AP Rock is
the thing that I love about Ghostface is his like cadence and his voice is so good that he could say anything and you would just believe him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, like he just sounds so confident and like just like such a strong presence that like it's so cool to have that combined with that mind, because he has like, he never he doesn't have that whole like backpack hip hop looking type dude, you know what I mean? Like he's
a street dude.
Yeah, he looks like a street dude, but like he writes from that mentality. It seems
very cerebral.
Yeah,
but he doesn't. It's not too cerebral to the point where it goes just like it doesn't go totally over your head, because you're able to connect to it because of that energy that he brings, just because of who he is and how he brings that into whatever he does.
I remember when I was first getting into really starting to pursue the hip hop shit seriously, I had a couple other friends that were doing it too that I'd met at the Shadow Lounge, and I was really the only one in my little group that was fucking with A$AP Rock at the time. And looking back, I get it, and even having the conversations with my friends, I feel like it helped a lot, because I'm seeing how he's writing, and there's part of me that's thinking like, oh, I'm not writing weird enough, I'm not writing abstract enough. But when I would be with my friends and if we're in the car and listening to it, I remember them just being like, I don't know what the fuck this dude's talking about.
Yeah.
Like if I don't know what they're talking about, I don't want to listen to it.
Yeah. And then sometimes
like, it really stuck with me.
It's, I think a lot of times when, we might feel, you hear it and you don't know what he's talking about, sometimes you might jump to the conclusion, like, that dude is just saying whatever. Like, dude, it doesn't mean anything, but I feel like with A$AP Rock, he's probably, there is meaning there, even if it's kind of veiled.
There's been several occasions where like I have found out about things later in life, just randomly, either like watching a movie or seeing something in a book or some weird reference, being at an art gallery, and like an A$AP Rock line would pop in my head and I'd be like, that's what the fuck he was talking about.
Yeah.
Like that shit was like, whoa.
That's cool. That's pretty cool.
I believe on Labor Days, I think it's the first track on that album, there's just this one throw off like weird ad lib line where he's like, I twist characters like twist characters. And it's always like, what the fuck is he talking about? And then like a couple years later, I was looking at a bunch of like weird graffiti stuff. And there's this graffiti artist named Twist who was like known for doing weird characters that looked all weird and bundled up. And I was like, that's what the fuck he was talking about.
There you go. That's a dope line.
Yeah.
If you get it.
Yeah. If you get it, you get it. But if you don't, you're like, it's still catchy. I mean, it's stuck in my head enough that I remembered it just because it's like, what is he saying? And I remember there's it's a line, I don't know if it's on Impossible Kid or if it's on Skeleton, but there's some song where he's talking about like, I'm so completely off the goddamn grid. It's not a problem of addressing me. It's like, what do these symbols under the dresser mean? And he's talking about that like cult, like some random cult shit. I remember like even just, I don't think I said it. I don't remember what the line was exactly, but even thinking about it gives me chills. Like the first time I heard it, I'm like, God damn, dude, that's so weird and abstract, but also like, I know what you mean. And that's fucking insane.
Yeah. It's impactful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, shout out to A$AP Rock.
Shout out to A$AP Rock.
Hope you're listening. And yeah, we're big fans and hope to be featured on your next project.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it's so cool to see, everything that dude's done over the years. I feel like he's really found his own in terms of being able to have his own sound, be 100% himself, never apologize for being himself. And he's able to get a good fan base.
Right.
I remember I saw him at the Rex Theater. And it was packed. I think we may have been there together.
That the Homeboy Sandman?
Yeah. I think we were hanging out, and it's just one of those things where it's like, how are there this many people in this city that fuck with this weird abstract shit?
And why can't we find these people?
Yeah.
Why can't we? Yeah, exactly.
But I feel like it's one of those things where like there's sort of an unfortunate like elitism, I think, to some people that listen to that kind of shit, where it's like, if it's not A$AP Rock, if it's not a Rhyme Sayers or, Def Jux, old school stuff, or, if it doesn't have that attachment to it, like, I don't give a shit about like local performance.
Yeah, there's not, I would say with Pittsburgh, and I guess I can't really speak on other cities, except for maybe, what I've heard other people say, but it seems like there's not a lot of times here where the community is, we're almost all supporting each other, artists supporting other artists, and Pittsburgh isn't a city that has a really strong foundation for local music or local art. It's something that they kind of just throw in as
it has a strong foundation for local music and art, but it has to be safe.
It has to be a certain kind. Yeah. And this is not a hip hop city, like by any, and it's very small. And that's why you get all these little small pockets, and people are kind of, it seems like people are sort of trying to get whatever, for lack of a better term, clout or engagement that they can. And it's, it can get sort of combative, but a lot of times it feels like, you'll go to a show and you'll be like, oh, you'll be really surprised because you'll be like, oh, all these people like this alternative hip hop, not the mainstream. And so why can't I connect to them? Because you influenced by A$AP Rock, they might fuck with you. If they gave you a chance, but
you're in a building with 800 other people.
Yeah.
You're like, God damn, give me 5% of this.
Yeah. So,
like,
I think other cities, there might be a little bit more of a hip hop culture, foundation, or it's more integrated. And so, it's not so weird to hear, someone's listening to a local artist. Now it's like, I don't know. Yeah. Cause you could go to that show and then just be like, oh, hey, you like A$AP Rock and you have yours and you try to push your CD or whatever, but they might just look at you crazy. Like,
Yeah. It's hard. I find that it's really difficult to balance that, like, what we were talking about before, like being super energetic about your stuff, promoting, talking to people, putting it out there, letting people know that you're excited and that you love what you do. But that could also be too much for some people, especially if you catch them, at the wrong time. That's the thing that I fucking hate about like using most social media to promote our stuff, because it's like, I fucking put out this song today, but then, that's sandwiched in between like protests and the world's fucked up and there's all this other stuff that you should probably be focused on right now. And it's like, well, the world needs art too. And but also it's like, other people will put up things like, like, oh, my grandma's sick and all. It's like this wave of emotion from like, just too much all in one place. The thing that would be cool is I just wish that there was like more of a central hub kind of like if Spotify maybe had more of a social element to it. It has a lot, but not quite enough, but just kind of a place where we could promote music that people go to that just want to hear music. I mean, Bandcamp exists, SoundCloud exists, but those are just mostly artist driven platforms, which could be super beneficial if you connect with artists in different parts of the world and things. But the most important thing is just finding the normal person. Connecting with them is just, it's really, really hard. I don't know. I have not been able to figure it out. It's always just been try to play many shows in as many weird places as I possibly can. Be nice to people and hope for the best. And also just make sure you're writing good music too. That's kind of another really important thing. Sometimes it's easy to get distracted with this other shit that we sometimes forget to just actually write a good song.
Yeah, that stands out. When people do hear it, it's something.
That's the other fucking issue with everything that's going on now and having to use all of this social media is that you 1000% need to have like a highly visual, engaging sort of thing attached to what you're doing. Like the album artwork and photos and all that stuff matters more than it necessarily should.
Yeah.
But because we're looking at it on their phone, most likely, or on a computer, if it's all on Spotify or Bandcamp or whatever, and like, if there isn't a dope fucking album cover or something that's going to catch their eye, they're going to scroll right past it, or a video. Yeah.
Yep. Even more, I think of videos, with YouTube and everything, and YouTube is a universal thing that pretty much everybody uses. So a lot of times, if you can get a dope music video, you're gonna pull in more people.
Videos are huge.
Yeah.
Because if you're the majority of the people that you're catching, if you're catching them while they're in the scroll, you got to keep their eyes on it. And if it's just an audio link, they're only going to look at your album cover for so long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Unless you're like Cardi B or something, that people want to look at.
Right.
It's just my fucking dumbass face. Like, there ain't no WAP here.
Exactly.
Nobody cares about this. So it's just kind of like, get a video. It needs to be super engaging and keep people. I spent so much time just trying to write songs. I was never concerned with like being like, a marketer and social media manager. But we got to figure it out.
You got to do it all. I mean, it's good to get help if you can find anybody to help you, if you can, make those connections. But yeah, there is a lot of it. Especially if you're a solo artist, you got to really try to do a lot. You can't necessarily do everything, but then you got to find people who can help you and put place. Like, I think the people that succeed the most are the people who have some sort of team. And they figure out how to, where they don't have to do everything. I don't know. I don't think it's but then you find special people who might just kind of be a do-it-all person. But I feel like a lot of times it's interesting. I kind of struggle with it because like the community thing and like the collaborative thing that I said, and I always had a connection to that. I didn't even want to be a solo. At any point, I was always trying to find collaborations or collectives. And now it's sort of shifted to a do it all yourself. And it's not really a collective where people just want to, they have their home studio and they kind of just, everything is in house and they just do everything themselves. It's less about, I think a lot of times the best music is made by teams and different perspectives coming in.
Sure.
And so that's less, I had to just get over that part and be like, all right, this isn't happening. I got to just focus on myself and I can't wait around for the right collective or the right group of people. I'm still going to reach out to people and I'm still going to work with people, but it's like, if I wanted to come out, I gotta, it really was a choice. Yeah. I didn't have a choice because, I can only depend on myself. So yeah, got a couple videos in the works finally, which I'm excited about. So that's good. Cause sometimes you release, let's say you spend all this money recording and you spend money on mixing and and you get this project out and then you're like, oh shit, maybe you don't have money for a video. That shit's expensive for most of the time. And then it's, maybe you didn't plan properly, or I don't know, you need to be more financially, you have a better plan in place. But yeah, if you don't have a video, I've heard the perspective that it's like, it's almost not wise to release an album if you don't have some visual to connect to it. Cause then it's like, and then it's just out there and you're trying to get people to do it, but you don't have that extra thing that is popping out and engaging. And it's just like where they can see you. And then, they see the video and then it's like, all right, maybe this is dope. Maybe I'll check out the rest of it. So,
yeah. It's really, really, it is so much to do. And I find that, you spend 2 years putting an album together. The last thing you want to do, spend another 6 months waiting to release it because you got to get all this video content together and all this. But it is ultimately probably the best move coming from personal experience. I don't think I've ever successfully released a Sykes project. I have fucked it up in one way or another every single time. It's because I'm trying to do too much.
You're
myself.
doing so much because that one is all you. So then when it comes to
the problem.
The release, then it's like, I don't have any energy left. Right?
That's the problem.
Yeah.
I just can't manage it properly.
Yeah.
Because I don't have anybody telling me that my bad ideas are bad or that, maybe I should release this song as a single instead of this song, or maybe I should do that for the album cover instead of this, or I should do that for photo, those outside forces and perspective. I find that sometimes maybe while you should be yourself as much as possible, I wonder if maybe I've been myself maybe a little bit too much and I need to get to a point where I can make what I'm doing a little bit more relatable for other people to come in and feel like they can actually be a part of this.
Yeah.
And it's not just this weird thing where you're not allowed because this is Sykes world.
Yeah.
It's not that.
Yeah. This is me and my journal. And this is I'm releasing this and you just sit here and you take it all in.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes. We're wrapping up our next album now. And I've released a few tracks from it. I wasn't going to, but then whenever pandemic happened and people were kind of just spending a lot of time on their phones, I was like, maybe we should just drop some songs just because we can't play shows right now and we have them. They're done.
People have more free time. So maybe they're more likely to check it out.
Let's throw them out there and I can kind of experiment a bit. And I've already noticed the stuff that I was very confident in how it looked and cool videos did well and stuff where I was like, well, I don't have anything else better to use for artwork on this. So I'm just going to put this out because it works. It didn't do so good. Even though I think the song is great. I think it's probably one of our best songs we've ever done.
Yeah.
It's just it doesn't have the right visuals connected to it. So I think people aren't even giving it a fair shake.
Yeah.
It's rough. I find that trying to be a musician now and okay, say you're an artist or a photographer, right? You can post a photo or a painting, a picture online. People can look at it for, 10, 15 seconds and be like, that's a dope artist. But for a musician, it's a lot harder for us to give 100% of who we are in a 10, 15 second bubble, which is what makes that TikTok shit super impressive. Going back to that, those artists that can put together songs that are able to define enough of their character in such a short time frame that people want.
Yeah, it's so I'm not on TikTok, but now Instagram has the thing where it's Reels, so I guess it's very similar to TikTok, right?
Yeah.
And I did a couple videos with that, which is 15 seconds, and I just spit 4 freestyle bars over a beat, but it was about something. I don't remember what the hell it was. One of it was about me not getting enough, getting my extra dressing, my order from Eat Unique. I love Eat Unique. They're on Craig Street.
Eat Unique,
They're
fucking rules.
Dope restaurant, but they just forgot my extra dressing, so I rhymed about it. But I noticed that there was some people that were drawn into that don't normally like my stuff, where I'll post a whole freestyle and it won't get as much engagement. So, but it's like, all right. So it really did get me thinking about that, because it's something that's, you're presenting yourself to people in a different way, and you're giving them just like a little piece, and they can kind of just like, just watch it real quick and then kind of go on with their scrolling or whatever they're doing in their day. They only got a second and they check it out. But yeah. And then, Instagram is just created for photos, and yeah, exactly. So are you going to get people to stop? And even if they do listen to that clip, are they going to go to that link in bio and listen to the whole song? Or are they just going to, they're just going to be like, oh, that 30 seconds was dope and I'm going to like it. But, they may or may not actually go to the link and listen to the whole song or download the song or whatever.
Yeah, it seems like it's a big ask now, asking somebody to commit 4 minutes to something you did.
Yeah.
It seems like 4 minutes is 4 minutes, but in an environment that thrives off of 10, 15-second things.
And you can just choose. There's so many things to choose from for entertainment. And then it's like, it can be difficult to pull people out of that.
Yeah, it's so hard. It's like, how do you, I don't know. I don't have a TikTok page. I don't really mess with stories. I'm a long format storyteller. I'm not much. I mean, I do an hour-long podcast every week. I like writing songs with verses and choruses and bridges. I like watching long movies. I'm into like getting lost in something for a bit.
Immersion.
I'm not somebody that digests the short material. I never liked Vine. I never liked Snapchat.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get into the Instagram stories. Can't do TikTok. I have a friend that started a TikTok a few weeks ago and she's killing it. She's doing really, really good. But like, you have to come up with these short, dumb little fun videos to do.
Mm-hmm.
And like, that's cool for her because she's good at it and it's working.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I'm fun, but like, I'm not fun. You know what I mean? Like, I can't come up with these. It's just like, that's not how the artistic part of my brain works.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I dedicate time to doing that other stuff, because like, she's at a point now where like, she's making money from TikTok just in this short amount of time.
Wow.
Not a lot, but they're paying her to make stuff and she's getting a lot of followers and views and all this stuff. But it's like, she's putting so much time into managing it. It's like, even though it's only a 15-second video or maybe a minute video, I think you do 15 seconds or a minute.
I think
almost like half of the day is going into putting together that one video, because they're actually like going to locations, filming stuff, editing it. Like, it looks very professional. It's really good, but there's a lot of work that goes into it. And it's just like, I don't know if I would personally want to put any time away from anything else that I'm doing to put time into that.
Yeah.
But devil's advocate, one may argue that if you put that time into a platform where you can maybe, increase your viewership times 10 or times 20 times 30, that could be cool. But then am I getting people to watch my stuff that don't care about what I actually want to do? Yeah. And now I'm putting all my time into doing something that I half want to do. Am I going to be happy doing? Do I want people to like me for what I want to do, or do I just want people to like me regardless of what I do?
Mm-hmm.
This is the conversation I have in my head all the time.
Yeah. And then if TikTok gets shut down, then you're asked out. And those all, maybe you learned something, but then you gotta transition again. I don't know. Crazy world.
Yeah. I don't know. I hate, like, you see a lot of people talking about, like, maybe you don't, but I see a lot of people talking about Facebook's for old people. Mm-hmm. And shit like that. And I'm like, well, I mean, fuck, I am turning 36 this year, so I guess I'm not young.
Yeah. It took me years to, like, on Twitter. When I was first on Twitter, if you're not, it's a very, like, it can be very, when you have like no followers on Twitter, it's like nobody wants to fuck with you and nobody gives a shit. And so I kind of just had to keep at it. And now I can get some engagement on Twitter. But I remember the first couple years, I was just like, it was almost seemed like I was doing it for no reason. And I was just like going through the motions, but I guess it wasn't worthless. But yeah, there's definitely those mentalities about Facebook being for like older generation because it's your parents are on Facebook and that's like everybody, and then Twitter is this other thing whereas it's kind of a lot of younger people, and then you have Instagram, but you can only use that in a certain way. Every platform is really you can use to promote or network in a different sort of way, and you can't have a Facebook mentality on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work. And so I had to learn that, because
I've talked about it plenty of times, feeling like a person trying to manage all of those different things because you need to use a different part of your brain and your personality to get content for all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And Twitter's probably my least favorite. I could never understand quite how it worked. And now it seems like, like what does well on Twitter, like comedians and politicians.
Yeah.
It's like, there are some, and the musicians that do big on Twitter are musicians that are they could do whatever, they could reopen a MySpace account and probably do. Oh, side note, this has nothing to do with anything, but I keep hearing, the complications of unemployment and stimulus checks and things like that. And everybody's talking about how like there's no way that they could do it using like Venmo or Cash App or PayPal. And I'm like, if we can have all of our political discourse on fucking Twitter, why can't we give out payments on Venmo?
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with anything. It's just a thought.
Yeah,
everybody has a fucking cell phone. Just fucking do it. Anyways.
Or Cash App.
Cash App or Venmo, whatever, So, as we're rounding the corner here on our hour, believe it or not, we've already done it.
Yeah. Love those tangents.
Yeah. You gotta get off, but we're coming back in. You have a Bandcamp page and you are putting out some new music. You were talking about, you prefer people to go to this, God damn it. I got off your Bandcamp. Where's your Bandcamp? There it is.
Yeah, for the people who know Bandcamp, they've started doing they're waiving the revenue fee that they usually charge. I got an email that first Friday every month, and they did it in August. It's still August. Or is it September 1st?
It's September 1st.
September 1st, so last month. Yeah. So this Friday I'm releasing a song. It'll be pretty much everywhere, but Bandcamp is the preferable. You could donate whatever you want, but if you do choose to donate, we get a greater share. So not just me, but anybody on Bandcamp who you follow or artists that it's a good day to go on there, and if you want to pay for their music or donate a little bit to what they're doing, then they're going to get a greater share. So on Friday, I'm releasing a song. I believe it's one of the best songs I've ever written. It's called Thankful. It was produced by my homie, Conscious Kel. He's a local artist, MC, producer, and really great beat. And I wrote this song, which was, the idea is the hook is, I'm angry. So when I was, we might have talking about gratitude, right? Sometimes we think we have to be in this mindset of being just grateful for everything, and we might bypass or not really be honest with our emotions. So I was taught to, and when I was brought up, if I was ever, if I expressed anger or, I wasn't happy about something, it would be held over me like, oh, you're ungrateful. And that, you being honest about that emotion is ungrateful. So it kind of fucked me up to the point where I think there were some mixed wires, and I wouldn't really be honest about how I felt. So the song is about being honest. I'm still grateful, even if I might not be exactly where I want to be. I'm not bypassing any part of whatever I'm feeling. I'm getting better at just being honest about where I am. And it might not be exactly where I want to be yet. And I might still be angry about certain things. I might still be processing certain things in life, but that doesn't mean I'm not still grateful. You can have both. So the song is called Thankful. And yeah, I'm really excited. And I got some really cool artwork for it as well. Yeah.
Cool. As we were talking about that. And so that's coming out this Friday. It'll be out by the time we record by the time this is released.
Okay, right on.
So people can find that on reasun.bandcamp.com. And that's Reason with a U.
Yeah, it's Reason with the U. It'll be up on Spotify and everything as well. But yeah, so as long as you hear it, I'm happy. So but yeah, Bandcamp is dope because it really supports artists and it gives us make a couple bucks back maybe from what we invested into it. Until you start actually making money, it's really you're kind of in the hole. Mm-hmm. But it's a passion, so invest in it.
Yeah. You gotta spend the money on something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, all that being said, I'm gonna do our outro and then we could just tie a bow on this. Cool?
Right. Yeah.
Cool.
Tie it.
And that is all, folks. Thanks so much for listening. One more time, Reason, thank you for being here.
Thank you,
my dude. I'll be back again in a couple days or next. I've made it such a bad habit saying I'll be back in a couple days, but I upload weekly now. I used to upload 2 episodes a week. Now it's only 1 because it's a pandemic. Sorry, I'm ranting. Anyways, I'll be back when I'm back. Same time, same place, same channel. You know the drill. My name is Sykes. Start the beat 2020. Woo, woo. Thanks for listening. We're done.
Peace.
That's it.